All right, y'all. Welcome back and happy Friday. It's time to talk about, well, really, I guess just give our final thoughts on Tennessee versus Mississippi State, and we will be coming back tomorrow, probably at 1 o'clock with with our pregame show. P's going to be joining me, and we'll just kind of prime you for the game and all that good stuff. But there's several other things, just because we've kind of been off this week, so I want to talk about injuries. We're gonna start off with Dre Quinn. So 4-star edge rusher who does play at Buford, and he just got a phone bomb to Texas. Now, if you're a member on our Patreon, okay, especially on that $5 tier, we told y'all that. We were the first people to actually break that news that it's really Tennessee versus Texas. And that was when he was still part of Clemson's class and all of that. But I can tell y'all that even with that phone bomb, I mean, he's coming to the game tomorrow, okay? Of course, it is at Mississippi State. But I think he's coming to watch Tennessee. We're in a very, very good spot. So just understand that, sometimes some of the things that the insiders, especially national analysts that they put out there, it's not 100% accurate. Not to say that Tennessee is going to ultimately win that battle, but I can tell you, I think that we're in a great spot. It's just up to the staff to close out on that. So feeling pretty positive with it. We'll see what comes out of this weekend. But I want to go on ahead and turn the page to the injuries. So y'all please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we're going to scroll down and talk about who all Tennessee has out, because there's several players. And I know people Tennessee fans, it feels like we have the most injuries and all that. It's actually if you look at all the other SEC teams from this week, we do have a lot of players that are out. So number one, I want to talk about David Hobbs just because he's a guy that I think Tennessee could have used in this game coming off of a broken foot. But hopefully he's going to be back for the Arkansas game. So I mean, that's kind of a blow. I do think that our defensive tackles have stepped up, so that's always positive. We have Ra. He's going to be out, backup, freshman. He's a wide out. He's a really good player, but I think Tennessee's ultimately going to end up being, it's going to ultimately end up being fine from that standpoint. But with the players that are questionable, we're seeing Ethan Davis, so tight end, right? I mean, I think that Jack can do a good job. Brame should be back for this game, so they'll probably be getting a lot more reps. We'll see if Ethan Davis can actually play. Marion Dodd, this one to me is pretty big because it's strong side end. He's another one. He's just a freshman, but he's a stud. Really wanted him to be able to go in this game. Hopefully he can. But I think that we've got some pretty good depth there where it won't matter too much. Maybe Don Bailey can get some reps playing at strong side end because he has been playing so much at defensive tackle. Maybe that'll help us out from that standpoint. And then David Sanders Jr. This is something that people are starting to talk about. I think that he's going to get to travel, right? I saw Austin Price talked about that. I think that he will get to travel. He's going to be dressed out. So he could technically maybe play. I think that he's going to be ready to go for this game. Will we play him, though? Do we want to play him? I don't think he's going to start. But if it's me, I would try to throw him out there. Just let him get some reps. I think that's going to be big because our offensive line has already looked really good so far. But once he comes back, starting at right tackle, you bump Jesse Perry at right guard, and I just think that this will be the best offensive line in the whole country. And then we also have Jackson Moore. Of course, he should be back this week. That's going to be huge for us because, man, Mississippi State, they can run the football very well. Obviously with a whole lot of inside zone, it's the same system that Tennessee ran, especially last year. But you have to stop the run with the lighter box. So the defensive line is going to be critical for us. Now, with Mississippi State, the players that they have out, the first guy up here, Will Whitson, I hope I'm saying his name right. He's good. I mean, he's a kind of like a backup defensive tackle. But to me, he might be their twitchiest guy. I think he's leading the team in sacks. So that's a positive thing for Tennessee for sure. Obviously, you never want players to be injured. So hope that all these guys end up getting healthy very, very quickly. I never want to see players being injured. And then next we have an offensive lineman. I think he plays tackle for him, but he's a backup guy. So that's going to take away some of their depth on the offensive line, but probably not going to be a huge deal. And then we have one of their kind of backup linebackers. Now, to me, he looks the best playing out in space. So that's kind of a positive thing because I think one of the weaknesses to Mississippi State's defense is with their linebackers playing out in space, so on and so forth. But, I would say that if he doesn't go, obviously that would be a positive thing for Tennessee. Now, let's go on ahead and let's jump into my actual keys for this game, y'all. So, number one key for Tennessee to win this game is to take care of daggone football. That right there with the mesh, fumbling. Joey's done that in almost every single game. We got to do a much better job. If the ball hits us in the freaking face, we have to catch it, okay? Like, we can't just, knock the football up. And then I think Joey, he has to do a great job of not throwing interceptions. Number 2, Tennessee needs to average 5 yards per carry running the football in this game. I think that we can run the football well on Mississippi State. Man, they got some really good secondary players. I mean, the passing game, I think that we can do some things, but we're going to have to run the football. Like, they're going to take away some of what we like to do. So running the football and, running it well, that's going to be a huge, huge part of this football game. Key number 3, this is really just with our defense, especially linebackers, but the secondary too. On defense, there's certain things that you're watching. Like, you have certain keys that you're like reading. It tells you what to do. Man, last year we did a horrible job at reading our freaking keys. We were all over the place. Cannot have that. If we let Mississippi State run the football well on us, we're going to be in a world of trouble. Key number 4, we have to tackle well out in space because we're going to be playing with the lighter box. So even if it's a run inside of the box, you're still kind of playing in space. Got to take better angles, have to wrap up. And, also they run a whole lot of like quick screens. I mean, we already know how this offense looks, right? We have to be able to tackle, take those angles, so on and so forth. Key number 5 is definitely, man, we have got to sack Blake Shapen. We got to sack the quarterback. Last year, our pressure rate versus Mississippi State was almost 50%. We only had 4 sacks, and I think they dropped back to pass, 25 times. So we should have had really at least 8 sacks. I mean, listen, we should be able to get somewhere around 6, 7, maybe even 8 sacks in this one, but we just had to be able to finish. Key number 6, no busts, especially in coverage. We've had way too many of them so far this year. And like this right here, switch routes, things like that. Of course, that's a backup player right there, a corner. But we can't have that because their offense, that's what it's based off of. Running that tempo, getting people's eyes wrong and all that. We've got to do a good job in our coverage. And then key number 7, we got to make tough catches. They're going to have really tight coverage. I like their cornerbacks. They're big. They got one guy that's 6'4". Joey Aguilar likes to throw it up, especially down the field. It's very dangerous, okay? So the wide receivers have got to go get the football. Sometimes they might have to play defense, right? But, of course, we want for them to come down with it. And it's not just about what they're doing down the field, but with some of the, like, intermediate stuff, I'm telling y'all, man, like, we can find success passing the football. It might not look the best early on, but, our wide receivers will have to step up. They're going to have to make tough catches. To me, this is probably the biggest test for our wide receivers from a true coverage standpoint that we've had so far this year. Now, people are going to say UGA. Dog, Georgia, I don't know that Mississippi State's going to play us how Georgia plays us. Georgia plays pretty much off coverage. If it's bump and run, then it's help over the top. It's different. I could see Mississippi State playing more true, real man-to-man coverage, maybe some bump and run. Their guys are physical at the line, but they have good coverage down the field. So it is going to be a test in several different areas. But if we can hit on, I would say we probably need to hit on all those keys this week, y'all, for us to come out of there with the victory. I do think that Tennessee is we are the better team, right? But going on the road, which I don't think is going to be as big of a deal this year for Tennessee as it has been previously, just because it's been more of the offense is kind of stalling out just because our passing game was pretty limited, especially once teams started to figure out what we wanted to do. But I just think that we have so many new wrinkles to our system that we can get out of some of that. We're going to have answers to it. And I just feel like we have all the proper pieces in place for us to come out and find success with our offense. That's typically where you're going to struggle at the most on the road. If we can get off to a good start, then obviously that takes the crowd out of the game some. Hopefully we don't have as many false start penalties and pre-snap penalties, really. I think that we'll be fine from all those standpoints. The defense, it's not going on the road, I think, and playing on defense. I feel like we kind of tend to play better. So I'm not too concerned about that. I'm more worried about maybe Tennessee's offense than I am Tennessee's defense in this game, which probably would sound crazy to most people. Now, I'm going to take a quick little break. I'm going to get to some of these chats. Let's see who all's in here. So, of course, my dog, J Pat's going on, bro. Hey, and I love that energy every single week. I'm hoping that Georgia loses coming up on Saturday. I've seen on message boards and stuff, Tennessee fans are like, well, who do we want to win this game? And, is it going to help us if Georgia wins? It never helps us if Georgia wins. I don't care if Georgia winning means Tennessee goes to the national championship. I still want them to lose because I think that Tennessee should be able to make it without Georgia's help. I don't want Georgia's help. And then also you have to think about it. We still have to play Alabama. So if they lose to Georgia, and then if we go down to Tuscaloosa and then we lose to Alabama, that puts us in a terrible spot. We need for Alabama to win the game versus Georgia coming up. Well, I think it's tomorrow night. We need for Alabama to win that game, so then we could go down to Tuscaloosa, and then we can beat them. And that makes our strength of schedule and all that look even better. But yeah, no, I'm never cheering for Georgia to win anything. All right, so next one. What's going on, bro? Yeah. What's going on, man? Hey, it's been a long week, and we just been ripping and running and trying to get everything squared away. Ruck, what's going on, bro? Yes, sir. Yep, almost game time. Almost game time. Yeah, man. So let me get to my dog TN Jr. So TN, you got us winning 45-27. So I'm gonna give y'all like an actual score coming up tomorrow. I'm gonna talk more about how I see the game kind of like playing out here in just a second. Yeah, for sure. All right, so let me get to this one. What's going on, Rhonda? Yeah, but we had to silence them. I would actually like to see us come out with our own cowbells, maybe. That's not really what we do, but I've seen some people talking about it. I wouldn't mind that actually happening. So from Miss Terry's Bathwater, yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, leaving and hopefully leaving with that W. It's a place that Tennessee really hasn't played the best at if you look over like the course of time. You know what I'm saying? We haven't done necessarily great there. But let me go on ahead and get into kind of like how I see this game playing out. Starting off with Tennessee's offense. So I see us running the ball probably 35 plus times. And I like us running it more. I think we might need to lean on that running game more. Last year, we ran it like 55 times. That was at home. I don't want us to have to run the football that much. We need to be more balanced than we were last year. And I think that because we do have those wrinkles in our offense, we can pass the football more, right? But it is going to be tough. As I've said several times, they have a good secondary, especially with their cornerbacks. Those guys can cover. And with the way that we've switched up our scheme some, playing more man-to-man coverage is probably, it's probably a better thing. But you could also get caught up in us going back to how we used to play, how Mississippi State plays, where we're going to spread you out and do all the choice routes and all of that type of stuff. But I am anticipating that within our passing game, maybe 25 or so times, and also, too, let me make sure that I touch on this with Tennessee's running game. I want to see a lot more outside zone. I think that that's something that we could do versus their defense. The linebackers, especially with 16 being out there, not the fastest guys, but they are very disciplined. Like, I think that they're good with their eyes, so on and so forth. They're not going to be great out in coverage. So that brings me back to number 2, passing the football. I could see us running more empty sets just to try to get them to like isolate. Like we can isolate running backs, tight ends, maybe even wide receivers with their linebackers. That's going to be a really bad look for Mississippi State's defense, but also with some of the like boots and things like that, get the football out to our playmakers out in space. I think that pre-snap movement, all of that is going to be big in this game. I think that we need to try to like utilize that more. And there's plenty that we haven't shown on film just yet with this offense. And I think that we'll see I'm not going to say like a lot more, but we will see more of it coming up on Saturday. So number 3. All right, I would not be shocked if our running game maybe looks better than our passing game from top to bottom. Not to say that I feel like our passing game is going to be terrible, but I'm telling you, it kind of scares me, man. Like just with the way that our passing game has been operating, where we're really just throwing up 50-50 balls down the field with guys that I think can actually make good plays on the football, especially talking about Chris Brazzell. It's 6'5". They have a 6'4" cornerback who I feel like you can beat him with speed. You can beat him off of the line of scrimmage. The underneath stuff is more of where I would try to target him at. But, Joey's going to be Joey. He's going to throw it up, and I'm just a little bit concerned about that. We have to be careful. But our running game needs to be strong, and I think that it might look stronger this week than our passing game. All right, so now let's talk about how I see things playing out for Tennessee's defense. Number 1, so I'm going to say this. I can see our defense playing 2 different ways. I don't know how Coach Banks wants to play it, but either way, I see us having a very dominant pass rush. I think that Mississippi State, they've got a pretty good offensive line. It's not going to be the best that we faced up against. I would say it's probably about on par with maybe Syracuse. I think that there's just like a lot of correlations with Syracuse from like a talent standpoint to what Mississippi State has. So I think that we'll be fine there. I do feel like Tennessee's closing better this year than we did last year as far as getting sacks, so on and so forth. But I see us getting 5 or more sacks in this game. And look, y'all, I can see us getting about 8, like for real. I can see it happening, especially with different blitzes and all of that. But that brings us on down to the second part, y'all. And we can either play Mississippi State's offense straight up, which is pretty much how we played them last year. So straight up just means that it's not kind of like a makeshift defense that you run. It's specified for an offense like how most teams played Tennessee's offense last season, and we struggled versus our passing game pretty much sucked because we had nowhere to throw the football. So, we could play it more straight up, which would be more the opposite of that. So, like Florida played Tennessee straight up, Alabama played Tennessee straight up, And pretty much everybody else, they had like a makeshift sort of a defense. But if we do play them straight up, I could see, man, them having a lot of success down the field with maybe some busted coverages, with switch routes, all of that, just with their passing game. I could definitely see that happening. Maybe targeting Tennessee's linebackers some. I could see all those things happening. But I could also see our box being so light and the numbers being so like true to what we're showing pre-snap that we kind of struggle there too. You know what I'm saying? Like I could see them getting some gashers, like running the football and passing the football, and the game would be a lot closer than what I think most people think. And well, maybe not even most people, because I think the spread is at like 8.5 or something right now. But I'm talking about the game would be within 10 points, some sort of a way. Maybe not necessarily 8.5, but close enough where it's like, man, hey, we got to do some good things for us to come on up out of here with that dub. So next part would be, we can play the defense that is pretty much predicated to beat this offense. And that's just pretty much taking away all the vertical stuff, making all the choice routes have to be underneath. And then you have, 3-4 safeties or 3 or 4 secondary players playing deep. And then you bring people down to the box late, like you're showing that really light box. And then Mississippi State says, well, hey, we can run it on this box, but not so fast because you got safeties coming down late that mess with the numbers. And then it's just about like one-on-one tackling. That's the way that I would want to play this offense, because we've seen that most definitely works, unless you're playing up against a team that's more talented than the defense is, right? But we know that Mississippi State's offense is not more talented than Tennessee's defense. So will Coach Banks do this? I've never seen him do it. So, and listen, y'all, I've seen even this year with Mississippi State, the other teams that have played that sort of a defense, they're struggling, okay? Like versus teams that aren't very talented. Their offense sputters. So this is the way that I want for us to play, but we'll see. Now, if we do play it this way, I don't think that they're going to be able to do too much of anything down the field. Again, it's going to be predicated off of with the wide receiver quick screens and some of the like gadgetry plays. Can we come up and just tackle out in space? If we can, then they're not going to have any plays passing the football of 20-plus yards. And we could maybe see 1 to 2 maybe plays of 10-plus yards running the football. And that's just, again, based off of whenever the safety or whoever comes down late, are they getting to the proper run fits, so on and so forth. And if we play it this way, I see us winning this game by about 20 points. All right. So it's defense is going to be predicated off of what Coach Banks is going to do. And he could mix and match. He could do, based off of the down and distance, so on and so forth. He can do some different things. So it doesn't necessarily have to be one set way, but we should have some good answers. I trust Coach Banks. I know that there's a lot of people that are down on him, but I mean, really, you just have to look at what all's been going on with Tennessee's team. We're down players, throughout the course of the year. We played up against some really good passing offenses. Well, really, Syracuse, their passing offense, I think, was really, really good. And, we played up against some kind of like lesser teams that have a good system, and it's tough to get that stopped. Young guys out there playing in space, not tackling well, so on and so forth. I think that versus Georgia, that's really all that was. Their scheme wasn't great. We just couldn't freaking tackle, busting coverages, little things that you get better at over the course of the year. But it doesn't necessarily mean that Coach Banks is a bad defensive coordinator. I think that he's put us in some spots that I really, really liked. I didn't necessarily like versus Georgia not having the safety help over the top with some young cornerbacks, because we probably could have ran cover 2, probably cover 3 for most of that game and been perfectly fine. But with all that being said, I trust Coach Banks to put us in the right spot. Really not too concerned about our defense, more concerned about what's the offense going to look like and can they take care of the football, so on and so forth. All right, now let me get to some of these chats, man. Sorry to keep y'all waiting. All right, so J Pat is saying that no Georgia win. Gumps beat Georgia. We beat Gumps. There it is. Love it. And then hopefully at some point we can see Georgia later on in the year. So let me get to some of these new ones. This was also from J Pat saying that Sam Pendleton has to have a great game, limit pre-snap penalties. Yeah, for sure. And then that our defense will. Yeah, man. Listen, I think that those are all excellent points. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen. If we do put David Sanders out there, how much better does the offensive line actually look? And, I would say that Tennessee's biggest, and I hate to even call it like a weakness, just because it hasn't really been a weakness. It's just been maybe like the weaker part of a really good offensive line is at left guard and it's at center. Most of the pressures, if any pressures, it's pretty much come from those two spots. But once you can move Wendell Moy over to left guard, and then you've got Jesse Perry at right guard next to Sam Pendleton helping him out, I just think that it's going to look incredible. So I'm excited to see how all that looks, but we might not really get to see it coming up tomorrow. But I guess versus Arkansas, we should be able to see it. So this one is from TK saying that the fireman is going to put State's little fire out. Go Big Orange. Yeah, hey, I actually like that. I actually like that. So talking about Joey. And this one saying that if we get enough sacks, maybe they'll throw those cowbells in the trash. That's got to be really, to me, one of the biggest keys. And I hate to even say this, but going back to how Georgia likes to play Tennessee, how we struggled with them like last year, right? Because we didn't really struggle versus their defense this season. But if you're playing a bunch of deep coverages, you're taking away all of the vertical stuff that this offense likes to do. You have to dink and dunk. You can really only go to like one spot on the field, but then you can dial up those blitzes. That it's tough. And I think that Mississippi State's offensive line, they do a pretty good job with different stunts, different like blitz packages. But I don't think that they're like the absolute best. So maybe we could try to mimic some of those things as well. And yeah, I mean, it just, the crowd should be taken out of the game pretty quickly because our offense is going to be able to, like, we can move the ball, we can score some points. So if we get up by, we'll call it maybe like 17 points early, right? I mean, I think that the crowd's going to start to get pretty quiet. All right, so David speaks. Sorry to keep you waiting. Turnovers, run defense, and third, fourth downs will be the keys to yeah, man, listen, I'm also tell you this. That's a great point because, yeah, Tennessee's third down defense, fourth down defense, we know that Levy's going to be going for it, especially at home. He's going to go for it on fourth down. It's just about, man, like, you got to win on first down, offense and defense. And then you just got to freaking make tackle. Like, if you're in a spot to make the stop, just make a good flush, solid tackle. Like, missed tackles, that's been killing us. That's been one of the biggest problems with our defense. It's just missed tackles. It's basic fundamental stuff, which we will get better at as the season kind of goes on. But yeah, on third down, man, like, that's money down. You got to get off the field. You know, like, you got to get off the field. And if they go for it on fourth, you got to make them pay. You know, like, you have to make them pay. Any sort of a turnover that Tennessee gets, you know, we have to score freaking points. You know, we can't start to get tight and all that, man. Like, go for the throat. Like, we've got to get back to that type of, you know, hypo where he's just going for people's throats. So, yeah, I think that those are excellent points. Let me also get to this one from Slick 420 saying that the cowbell is so annoying that they rang them while the Arizona State quarterback was under center. Yeah, I don't think that there's a time that they had to stop it. So, I mean, you just got to kind of like block that out. You know what I mean? But that's a great point. But we had to be able to block that crap out. And also with us starting off with the silent count, how quickly can Mississippi State's defensive line pick up on that? See what I'm saying? Because they'll start to time it up. So we got to mix that up some as well. But once we get up by a pretty nice margin and the crowd starts to get quiet, then, you know, we don't have to go on those silent counts as much. And that's going to be a big part of this game too. All right. So your local high school football team has cowbells too. And well, you know what? Buford uses cowbells. I don't know, like, the high school doesn't use it as much, but like with the little kids, they do use that. So yeah, I'm pretty used to it. And you know, I used to kind of hate it coming up. I think that the high school used to use it more, but yeah, I mean, it gets on your freaking nerves. There's no question. Hey, Red, what's going on? Thank you for joining us. And this one saying that Syracuse is better than State. So with that, I have to disagree, bro. I think that if Mississippi State and Syracuse played, I think that Mississippi State would win that game. I do. Now, I still think the Syracuse, they have a good passing offense. And I think that even though their starting quarterback went down, I think that what we'll see is their passing offense won't necessarily take a step back. Really, the other guy that's coming in, Collins, you know, we've talked about him pretty much the whole offseason. He can move around more. Now, that's not really what their system asks for. It wants you to be more of a pocket passer. But if things do break down, they've got a different element. I mean, Syracuse could turn it. I mean, they might have a chance to, I mean, be like kind of a dark horse maybe to win the ACC. I'm just telling you. I think that they're going to shock some folks. So, yeah, I mean, listen, Mississippi State, they're a better team than people give them credit for. I know they haven't really played anybody, but they've obviously got a good offensive system, which I do think is easy to stop versus some other systems. It's easier to stop than Syracuse's system. But they've got some tall, long guys that can cover on the outside. That's always a problem. They've got disciplined linebackers. They've got some playmakers like within their front seven that can do some things, right? I don't think that they're slouches, and then this is an on-the-road game. I'm just telling you, man, hopefully Tennessee can win it pretty big, but I definitely wouldn't put money on that. Like that, what if the spread really is like 8.5 points, I could see it being about that. Like, I think that that's a pretty good spread. So David is also saying, okay, oh, yeah. So Camden County, yeah. Okay, so yeah, man, yeah, dude, that was a big one, like especially way back in the day. But I mean, even still, like all those like South Georgia games, it's always fun. But that might be one that I'll try to watch because actually Buford's off tonight. So, I'm trying to figure out what game and like what game do I want to watch. I'll probably try to scout Grayson some just because Grayson, it sounds like it might end up being Buford maybe versus Grayson in the state championship. I've watched Grayson some. I think that Buford's got something for him. You know what I mean? I think that Buford is the best team in the state of Georgia, but I'll probably be flipping back and forth for sure. Yeah, for sure, man. That South Georgia football, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. But y'all, that is going to do it. We hope that y'all will be joining us tomorrow for the pregame show. We'll also have like a postgame show. Pregame show is probably going to start around 1 because obviously, P, he's coaching his son's team. That's my youngest nephew, and his game will probably be over like right around 12. So we'll try to get it started close to 1. But we hope that y'all can join us for that. We have some more like stats and all that, of course, and we're going to get P's input, get his thoughts. And of course, we're going to be picking some of the other big time ball games. It's a great slate of football coming up tomorrow with some implications on like how the rest of the season is going to end up playing out. But that's going to do it, y'all. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be talking to y'all tomorrow. Thanks. Peace. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because that keeps us growing inside of the YouTube algorithm. And if you did like this video, here's another one that you might also enjoy. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.